cancelled Iran strike row has triggered fresh tensions inside Israel's cabinet. Netanyahu reportedly rebuked the military chief over an embarrassment that played out before Trump. The Israeli Prime Minister appears to be at odds with top military officials after an aborted strike on Iran. A major controversy is now unfolding inside Israel over Defense Ministry letter. Netanyahu reportedly reprimanded Eyal Zamir over letter disclosing details of a halted Iran strike. The letter reportedly revealed that the strike was called off just an hour before jets were due to depart. Netanyahu also reportedly criticized Air Force Commander Omer Tishler for including that detail in the letter. According to reports, Netanyahu said the information should never have been written in the document. Israeli Prime Minister reportedly described the disclosure as a national error. Netanyahu is also said to have argued that the revelation harmed unity and caused embarrassment in front of Trump. The dispute reportedly played out during a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, according to Iran International. The letter was said to have disclosed sensitive timing details about the halted strike on Iran. Netanyahu reportedly objected to the public disclosure of details tied to the aborted operation. The Israeli Air Force chief publicly confirmed that a major, carefully planned strike on Iran, scheduled for last week, was abruptly called off before it could be carried out. Major General Omer Tishler said the Air Force had spent weeks preparing for a massive operation slated for June 8, with detailed planning and assets positioned for execution. Tishler revealed the unexpected cancellation in a message he sent to troops on Tuesday, according to the Times of Israel, acknowledging the decision and its impact on personnel. Despite the broader operation being called off, Israel carried out a series of limited retaliatory strikes against selected Iranian targets prior to halting the larger mission. Those limited strikes followed an escalation in which Iran launched ballistic missiles toward Israeli-controlled territory, prompting a measured military response. Israeli jets reportedly struck dozens of targets approximately 1,500 kilometers inside Iranian territory, reaching deep into the country to neutralize strategic sites. Reports indicate the attacks caused damage to key Iranian air defense systems and other military assets, degrading Tehran's ability to respond quickly. He said pilots and entire squadrons had been fully briefed, armed, and standing by, ready to taxi and take off at a moment's notice. In a dramatic last-minute decision, the operation was halted just 1 hour before the aircraft were scheduled to depart, leaving forces grounded after final preparations. Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly called off the planned strike after receiving a direct phone call from President Donald Trump, who urged caution and recommended the operation be halted. During that conversation, Trump urged Israel not to escalate the conflict further with Iran, warning that a wider confrontation could have far-reaching and destabilizing consequences. Trump warned that if Israel expanded the confrontation, it could find itself fighting alone without broader international support, a risk that would dramatically change the regional balance. The violence reignited after Hezbollah fired rockets into northern Israel, an escalation that quickly pulled multiple actors back into active combat and increased tensions along the front lines. Following those developments, Iran launched 24 ballistic missiles aimed toward Israeli territory in a marked and significant escalation of its direct involvement. At the same time, Yemen's Houthi rebels fired 2 missiles at Israel, adding another front to the clash and underscoring how the crisis had drawn in regional proxies. In response, Israel carried out 2 distinct waves of strikes against Iranian targets, a measured but forceful retaliation intended to degrade Tehran's capabilities. Those strikes reportedly struck 9 Iranian air defense systems across western and central Iran, aiming to blunt Tehran's ability to detect and intercept follow-up attacks. Trump and Netanyahu spoke multiple times over the course of the week-long crisis, maintaining a steady line of communication as events unfolded and decisions were weighed. Netanyahu repeatedly pushed for continued military pressure against Iran, arguing that sustained action was necessary to deter further aggression and protect Israeli interests. Trump, by contrast, pressed for de-escalation and a negotiated settlement, favoring diplomacy and a ceasefire over a broader regional war. A larger Israeli operation was ultimately cancelled while aircraft remained on the tarmac awaiting launch orders, a last-minute decision that halted what had been a fully primed mission. In the days that followed, the United States and Iran reached an agreement intended to bring an end to the fighting, a diplomatic move designed to de-escalate and stabilize the region. Tehran claimed that the operation was aimed at Israeli military facilities across the country, signaling that no single base would be considered off-limits in a wider clash. The reported strikes focused on Ramat David, Nevatim and Tel Naf air bases in northern and central Israel, three pillars of the Israeli Air Force's day-to-day operations. Tehran repeatedly described the bombardment as a warning over Israeli military operations in Lebanon, hinting that a much heavier response could follow if its red lines were ignored. Ramat David serves as the Israeli Air Force's key northern hub, launching sorties against targets across the Lebanon theater and anchoring air coverage along that front. The base reportedly hosts three frontline F-16 squadrons, making it one of the densest concentrations of Israeli combat power anywhere in the country. Analysts warn that successful strikes on Ramat David could threaten aircraft on the ground and severely disrupt flight operations at a critical moment in the war. Ramat David lies in northern Israel, just a short flight from the Lebanon front, positioning it on the first line of any northern escalation. It acts as a major hub for air operations targeting Lebanon, with jets routinely cycling in and out on missions across the border. The base hosts three frontline F-16 fighter squadrons, giving it substantial strike capacity at any given time. Among them is Squadron 101, the historic 1st Fighter Squadron, one of the most storied units in Israeli aviation history. It is also home to Squadron 105, known as the Scorpion, which has played key roles in past conflicts. Squadron 109, the Valley, rounds out the trio, adding further depth to the base's combat roster. Taken together, these squadrons represent more than one-third of Israel's active F-16 fleet, underscoring how vital the base is to overall air strength. Nevatim is widely considered Israel's most strategic air base, central to its long-range strike and deterrence posture. It hosts the entire Israeli F-35 fleet, the country's most advanced stealth fighters and key to any deep strike plan. From Nevatim, Israel can project air power across the wider region, supporting long-range operations well beyond its borders. The base also houses G-550 early warning aircraft, which act as flying radar platforms to control the air battle. New KC-46 aerial refueling tankers are based there as well, extending the range and endurance of Israel's fighters. Together, these assets make Nevatim a critical force multiplier, amplifying the reach and lethality of the entire Israeli Air Force. Nevatim also functions as a key node for command, control and support missions, tying many of Israel's air operations together. Tel Naf is another major Israeli Air Force installation, long embedded in the country's core defense architecture. It sits south of Tel Aviv, close enough to protect the country's central heartland while still projecting power outward. The base hosts several fighter squadrons, providing additional strike and air defense capacity when crises erupt. It is also home to military helicopter units, including platforms used for transport, special forces, and rescue missions. Tel Naf supports vital logistics and command functions, making it more than just a launch pad for aircraft. For any adversary, Tel Naf would be considered a high-value target due to the mix of assets and command infrastructure on site. Its role is crucial to sustaining prolonged air operations, keeping sorties flowing even during extended campaigns. New analysis suggests that roughly 8 out of 10 Iranian missiles fired in recent salvos have reached Israeli airspace, highlighting how much pressure defenses are now under. Months of sustained combat have depleted both Israeli and U.S. anti-ballistic missile stockpiles across the region, raising questions about how long high-intensity interception can be maintained. Iran and its allies have also attacked and damaged key U.S.-linked radar sites that once formed a regional early warning net, creating potential gaps in the shared air defense picture. Newer Iranian missiles are being fielded with multiple warheads, maneuvering re-entry vehicles and even hypersonic-style gliders, all designed to make interception harder and strain Israeli systems further.